This video will contain spoilers from the off, so remember, you've been warned. The second episode of The Idol has been released, and it's safe to say that following on from a first episode that most certainly divided opinions and proved to be something that people questioned, after watching this latest installment, it's safe to say that the theme is most definitely going to be following suit throughout the entirety of this show. There was potential in this episode, and a moment where I thought that it was going to improve, but the final third was what really put the nail in the coffin, and confirmed that this show is most probably not going to live up to the potential that lies within. So with that, I thought I'd break down and explain why episode 2 made the show worse. So let's get into it. Here is how The Idol episode 2 made the show worse. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. I'll be breaking this video down into a couple of main sections, but I will also be addressing what was good about the episode towards the end. One problem that I've realized with this show is the character Tedros, which is played by The Weeknd. I felt like the episode was going pretty well until The Weeknd got involved in the final third. I don't know whether it's because the character isn't giving much away at the moment, but I just found the performance of Tedros to be a little off. This is a character where there should be a lot of mystery, fear, and questions around him, along with us wondering about his origin and his intentions, but I find myself just being a little put off by the delivery of the lines. I could most probably put part of the blame on the writing as much as the performance, as the lines are quite stale, but the delivery of them is too. We did have some characters throughout the episode guessing about him and wondering who he was, but it was just too out there and obvious. We as the audience should be intrigued by the character, and I'm just not. He only seems to be involved in the scenes that are just extremely graphic, and even though he's a character that has an extremely straight face most of the time, it doesn't strike the intimidation or mystery that a character like his should. When I watched the trailer for episode 3, it did seem as though there was going to be a little more to the character, which is something that I feel could go one of two ways. It's either going to allow Tedros to shine, or it could expose The Weeknd's acting if it isn't quite up to scratch. Currently, I would say that he is most probably the weakest link in the cast, but that could change as time goes on. He works best when he's in the scenes on his own and on the phone. When in a room alongside Lily Rose Depp, I feel his skills do come across slightly worse than hers. Tedros is a puppet master, and he has everybody on strings, as was personified by the large puppets in his club. Isaac, Chloe, Diane, and many others, soon to be Joss. I just feel we've not dug deep enough into the mystery to truly understand why he's doing this and spark the interest, and by now, as we're embarking onto episode 3, I feel we should have. The pacing. I was quite enjoying the first half of the episode, but there was one main thing that stuck out about it that made it feel slightly jarring when watching. This was the pacing of it. It felt extremely choppy and jumpy throughout the cuts, and the timing of the way that it was delivered to us felt quite unnatural. If it was a stylistic choice due to the fact that Joss was feeling overwhelmed by everything that was going on, then I would have completely understood that, but I didn't get the impression that it was done for that reason. It just felt like a conversation would happen, then we'd cut to another shot and so much time would have passed. Or even the mood would have felt slightly different to what we just saw, so there was a bit of a disconnect. It was something that really prevented that first section of the episode to truly shine, as it was the best part of the episode. The graphic nature. In episode 1, Lily Rose Depp was walking around with next to nothing on for the most part of the episode, so episode 2 was a slight improvement on that, but it's safe to say that the graphic nature of the show isn't going to be going anywhere anytime soon. One of the final scenes really summed it up and showed us that it's a large part of the identity of the show. The scene between Tedros and Joss at the end was extremely full-on in the language that was being spoken and what was being shown to us. Yes, I understand that it pushes the boundaries, as you don't usually see that on TV, but I just don't know if it's necessary. It doesn't add to the show. If anything, it just provides cringy dialogue that you'd see if you were watching something else, so I don't think it actually brings that much to the show. It gives talkability, but not for the right reasons. Provide a talkability factor due to the quality of the show, not the extreme nature of some of the scenes. So what was good about it? Again, like I said last week in my video on episode 1, the concept is definitely there. For the first half of the episode, it actually felt like we had some important, consequential dialogue, something which was an improvement on episode 1. Whether it be Nikki making Joss aware that she would crumble without her, or watching Joss lose her sanity on set and want to be a perfectionist, we saw the struggle of an individual who had lost her mother, was spiraling out of control and didn't know how to navigate the space without her. I found it so interesting, and it was most definitely the most interesting part of the episode. But the moment that Tedros came back on screen, I felt like the whole mood, tone, direction, and feel of the episode changed. No longer was it this piece that allowed us to see inside of Joss's mind, but instead it turned into the Weeknd just seducing her, and us just seeing graphic scenes on screen again. It's just too much, and I don't feel as though it's needed. Some can work, but it's just relentless with this show, and it takes away from the potentially strong story that lies within. We saw somebody suffering, struggling, and battling for her place to belong, but her mind just couldn't take it anymore. And I thought that was something that was extremely powerful to witness, especially the fact that you could tell that all of those people in the room would turn on Joss if the moment arose, which it seemed as though Nikki was doing by getting Diane to sign a deal with her and potentially replace Joss. Diane's connection to Tedros is also something that is interesting. I almost feel like this show would have been a lot better without the cult aspect of it, and if we were just watching a character trying to navigate the industry, struggling with her mental health and a sense of belonging following the death of her mother. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's going to be happening. I would also say that Lily Rose Depp's performance as Joss was something that was very well performed in this episode. She had some tough scenes to deliver in terms of trying to get the emotions across the screen and channeling the mindset of somebody who was struggling deeply with the feelings that were going on inside of their head. And I would say that she did a really good job at that, a much better performance than what was in episode 1. She was definitely the best performer in this episode. The reason that episode 2 made the show worse is because it confirmed that the extremely strong concept that lies within the core of this show is going to be something that's a secondary thought in the plot and will only be touched on and used as a means to allow Tedros to exploit Joss, rather than it being the main focus, which I think would have made the show better. Lily Rose Depp is good during those emotional scenes, but whenever she's with Tedros, we don't really get any of that. That's when we get the dialogue that doesn't flow as well, and the scenes that are so far from what could be good about this show. So for that reason, it's a shame. And it means that The Idol will most likely be a show that will not live up to the potential that it has lying within it. I guess time will tell. I think episode 3 will be a large test for it, because the groundwork has now been done. I feel it's going to go one of two ways. So, there you have it, how The Idol episode 2 made the show worse. If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of episode 2? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.